It's adventure time here on 411 Outdoors today. We're going on a little hike. I'm gonna go down into the valley away from the wind and make a fire, have some coffee. And I wanna talk about 3 pieces of gear that I feel like need a little more stage time. Stick around. Winter's in full effect here, and the wind has been very heavy as of late. But we finally got some sunshine, something I haven't seen a lot of lately. And I felt inspired to get out and go on a little quest. I've got my day pack full, and I'm going down here to one of my favorite spots to start a little fire and hang out and just enjoy being outdoors in the peace and quiet. And I want to revisit some gear that has been in my collection, and it just stands the test of time and continues to bring me a lot of enjoyment. It's one of my favorite little getaway spots in the world right here. If you notice, I keep a little spinner target right there all the time. The first thing I want to show you is this Ned Foss Kukri. This has been just a great knife to have and beat up. It's got some size to it. It's a decent budget steel, 8CR14 MOV. I have put this thing through the paces, and it just always gets the job done. This has a 6-inch blade. It's 11.5 inches, and it's super thick. It's one of those blades that just meets you halfway. It's a good knife, but there's something about it that is expendable enough for you to actually get out and use. One of the problems that we knife lovers run into is that we buy a lot of knives that we just don't use. And this gives you the joy of good solid use. You're not afraid to get out and use it. You're not even afraid to throw it. I put hockey tape on the handle, and I can just literally get out and play with this knife. This is marketed as a Kukri knife. It's the Ned Foss Kukri. It's a very subtle Kukri, of course, but it's got that curve there, and it is such a chopping, slicing beast. The next piece of gear I want to talk about is the Smiling Sling, and this is made by Practical Paracord. You get somewhere where there's a lot of rocks, you can have a ton of fun with something like this. I love to go out and set up a little camp where there's a lot of rocks and just get down there and practice shepherd slinging. That's some of the best time I get practicing with one of these things. And these are made so nice and so solid. Channing is the owner of Practical Paracord. He's got a channel here on YouTube, Practical Paracord, that you should subscribe to if you're not connected to his channel. But he makes these slings, and when you get one in your hand, you know you've got the real deal. All right, I brought my water to a boil, and now we get to enjoy this delicious hot beverage out here in the cold today. I want to show you this coffee cup here. It says, "Working on my dad bod." Indeed I am. This is a little concoction my friend made for me. There's some instant coffee, some hot chocolate, and a few other things in here. And it's tasting mighty fine this chilly day. This sling's really cool. You can put 2 fingers at the base when you're holding the knot, and it's just done really nicely. A whole lot better than stuff you'll find on Amazon. A shepherd sling doesn't always have to be, used for target practice or hitting a specific target. It's fun just to get out and sling rocks. It's a lot of fun. If you've got enough rocks to use, you can have a lot of fun. When I was a kid, I'd go out in the backyard and I'd grab me a stick and I'd bat rocks. That's how country I was. I'd bat rocks off the side of a hill, and I was having a real good time. Yeah, this is really no different. This is just an amped up version of that. I love to get on an open range and just sling. The next piece of gear I want to look at is actually a slingshot. Now, I'm primarily a simple shot guy when it comes to slingshots, but this one from Sniper Sling is becoming one of my main go-tos in my whole slingshot collection. And that slingshot is the S Maverick. I have had a ball shooting this slingshot, and it's just super easy all around. Outside of being one of the most comfortable frames I have ever held, it has snap-on bands, and I want to show you something. To install bands on this frame, you literally just put it down in this little section groove as far as you can go and snap it on just like that. Let's shoot a clay round. I'm gonna knock this little stick over. This Maverick is a fairly pricey frame, like a lot of their frames are, because they make really good stuff. It's just not cheap. It's made with good materials, and it's always a very practical setup, which means a lot when you're out shooting on a regular. If you're hunting, something like this is very good in the field because it's just a simple attachment. If you've got an extra set of bands with you and you need them, you're not screwing anything on, you're not tying anything on, you're just clipping it, and it is a very secure system. I have things in my collection at home that I've reviewed once on YouTube, and you know, these are things that are still in my collection for a reason. As I mentioned, I sell a lot of stuff, and these are some things that I wanted to bring back into the light. I have reviewed each of these things in long form content one time, and I thought, you know what, why not get out on a beautiful day, start a fire, make a hot beverage, and present these things one more time for those who may not have had the chance to see these things. So I always like to end with a good question. Maybe you've got gear sitting around your house that you don't ever plan on getting rid of. It's just staple items that you are glad to have, that you never have the desire to sell, and things that you pull out on a regular basis. I'd love to hear from you. Take care.